welcome back to Nightly Reads, and it's been a while, but we're back, and we're just gonna go straight in like nothing's changed. Right, so today's lucky book is Broken Wings, but I'm also going to talk a bit about the whole series. It's a trilogy, and it's called Dark Legacy series, and I'm mostly going to talk about Broken Wings, the first book, and Broken Trust, the second book, because I have recently reread those, and that's where you get the main gist of the book. Last book is a huge letdown, which is weird because normally it's the second book that's a letdown, but with this, I think the last book was the worst one. So this book is by a duo, and it's by Jaymin, I think that's her name. It's Jaymin Eve and Tate James. I really like Jaymin Eve. Jaymin Eve. Jaymin sounds like jam, so we're not going to say that. We're going to focus on why. So, Jaymin Eve is, I'm a huge fan of hers. I can count on her for just a quick, easy read. She wrote the Curse of the Gods books, and I'm a huge fan of that. I read loads for other books, including the other ones she did, the other one's part of this duo, like that princess book, The Rules of Avon, that wasn't great. It's if it was like out of 10, it's a 5 book, but it's okay. It passes the time. Tate James, I struggle with her a bit because I do want to like her, and she's got the materials that I like, but I find that with most of her books I can't finish it. With one book I got very close. I maybe I should explore her further, but she's not. So let's read the blurb. They were in my new town, my school, and with more money than God. There was very little out of their reach. 4 gorgeous, perfect, scary boys. There used to be 5, but one of them died, leaving a 5th position that I will now fill. I didn't ask for this. I didn't want to be a part of this billionaire boys club, but no one cares what I want. Sebastian Beckett is the worst of them all, the leader. He draws me in and strips me of every defense I have. He calls me Butterfly, but it's not a pet name, it's a threat. Beck wants nothing more than to break my wings, pin me to the board, and watch me wither. He wants to see me broken, body, heart, and soul. And what these elite want, they get. Only they've never met Riley Jameson. Now, first time reading this book, I should point out that I didn't actually read the blurb. I went in head first simply because of the love for one of the authors. But they had all the elements I liked. I've read other books with similar plots. I thought it was going to be a reverse Harlem, but it wasn't. And the blurb does warn you that it's not going to be that, which is fun. First time I read it, first impressions, is that I thought that this book was a massive joke. This sounds bad. But this book left me broken. I thought, like, these 2 authors have just wrote a great book in the genre of, like, new adult, young adult, that it's just about the warnings of these alpha, overly obsessive, possessive men. I thought I Have Been Warned is good, but that's not the direction the book was taken. But it did leave me broken, and I probably should have guessed that from the theme of the titles, but I'm dumb. Riley, I should point out, especially with the end point, they haven't met her. Riley's nothing special, incredibly annoying, and very, very... She does a lot of woman shaming in this book that just turned me off her character. I did not like Riley. Riley had the chance to run. Riley should have run. That option was never even tried. Frankly, it would have given Riley more character. Instead, Riley likes cars, and that's supposed to make her cool, but not her actions. So the book starts, ultimately, with Riley waking up from hospital, and she's been told that her parents are being died. However, she's been told this by a social worker who tells her that she was originally adopted, but she's 3 months to 18. Again, this is why I said she could have run. But her birth parents have turned up for the last 3 months to claim her. Bizarre. And then we meet her birth mum, who's Catherine Dubois, or Catherine Dubitch, that's what Riley calls her, because Riley is very immature like that. Catherine isn't very nice, though. So, Catherine takes her home to the Delta compound, and inside the Delta compound they have the Dubois family home, which is like a huge mansion. And I should explain, Delta is a big company where it's a family company, and everyone, well, the head... 5 families all live in these massive mansions in this compound for security reasons. I don't know why they'll do that. It seems a bit dumb to I feel like you're making it of a same duck, like such a huge target. So she sneaks out. So she gets there, but I don't know. Once she gets there, she sneaks out with her friend Dante. I don't trust Dante. I never have. Dante, for some weird reason, knows a lot about Delta and Catherine. So Dante is a huge fanboy of Delta for a reason that's never, I mean, it is explained, but Riley, really, she thought it in her head that she should ask, why does Dante have Catherine's number? Why does Dante join Delta, but she never did? He asks, so she tells him the situation, and he's like, you should stay, they're really powerful, don't run. Bad advice. Okay, but, so my biggest problem with Riley is that she has this whole not like other girls complex, which is very popular in this genre, but it's outdated, move on. So they go to a local car race because she's a racing legend and she has a car that she calls Butterfly. So because this is like a new town and it's a rich town and they don't know her and they're very misogynistic, so like, we won't let girls drive, but somehow it works out. She gets to drive, and she goes in her car, the Butterfly, but so she enters the race, she's driving the race, but because of the memory she has, because her parents died in a car crash, she can't, she ends up in a crash. She's fine, no help, but she loses the race. My thing with this is, why didn't Riley think of this before she entered the car? But this is the general theme with Riley. She's not that bright. So while there, she meets the guys, but she doesn't really know who they are. But she meets Beck and Jasper, and so the whole car thing was really annoying because I think it's a technique that's taught to writers to make your character, well, to show their character, to show their personality, you give them a hobby. And the cooler the hobby, I think the general thinking is that the better the character, the more badder she is. But I think it's lazy writing because they just don't show us that Riley is this badass. And even if she did, driving cars does not make you a badass. And she actually didn't do it for much of the book. But okay, so when she meets the guys, she meets Beck. Beck is the king. He's the leader. Also, he's Sebastian, so he's the main lead in this. And then Jasper. Jasper is I wrote down that he's the jester of this. He's a bit of a clown, makes everyone laugh. Then you got Dylan, the tall, silent Shah type. And then you have Evan. Evan was really boring. I have no idea why he was in this book. They could have removed him. But she described Evan, Riley in the book describes Evan, as a sort of chameleon of all the boys, you know. So he takes a bit from Dylan, takes a bit from Beck, takes a bit from Jasper. And I think this is, again, what makes him so annoying, because later on, when they all get backstories and developed, Evan's backstory is literally like 2 lines. And then most of it is just like abusive households, what they all were. And then but they don't really go in much detail about why. And on top of that, he likes anime, so I felt bad for him. They didn't do much about him. When recalling what to say for this video, I actually forgot about Evan, so there's that. He's very bland. Another reason why this night's important, she actually meets Eddie. Eddie's her instant best friend. I guess they needed some sort of character for her. So Eddie is Jasper's sister, and Eddie's falls into a lot of the same criticisms I have for Riley, but she's her best friend. I don't think much of Eddie. There's not much she actually did. She doesn't know much, but she now has a friend to eat lunch with and the boys and someone to introduce her around, which is always good. From here, the main thing is that, she goes to school and all that shit. But the huge thing this book centers on, well, it's not a huge thing the book actually centers on, but the main event, I would say, is that she has to go a weekend. She has to go to meeting the boys, but so they have to go to a Delta meeting. On the way there, they have a plane crash, and the pilot kills himself, and Riley sees this, but all the guys survive due to all their survival training and the fact that they're meant to be so strong, which is weird. The guys tell her that this was probably done by Huxley, and that's Delta's biggest competitor. And they send guys to kill them, but they're sort of used to that, but they'll survive and they'll protect Riley too with teamwork. Yay! So she goes on, and she, with this, I guess it's a plane crash, so it's a traumatic bonding experience. She feels really bonded with them after that. Even once they get home, there's a lot more interaction with the boys. There's, they get close. She feels like, trust has been created, laying the foundations for this book. So the plane crash to me was slightly unrealistic. I mean, how many people actually survive? The fact that all of them, but okay. Riley is left traumatized due to seeing the pilot kill himself, which is a traumatic thing, but like, for a self-supposed badass, she has night terrors about this, and I just find it stupid, because the only way she can, of course, go to sleep with these terrible night terrors is to sleep with Beck, which it's been done before, but I just hate this trope. Like, no, take some fucking sleep binder or sleep killers and what thing. Take some sleep tablets and move on with your life. You don't need a man to sleep with you for you to have a peaceful night. It's annoying. Oh yes. So it's annoying, but she also sort of infantilizes herself to Beck, and she does this way too quickly, and it's for this reason why I would not call her badass. So she hangs out more at school with Eddie and the guys. Eddie, what's my problem with Eddie? Eddie apparently doesn't have any friends because Delta won't allow her. I don't understand this trope. I don't understand this line. It's not explained. Her brother won't let her, but her brother's Jasper, and Jasper's like, I call him the gesture. He's like the funny guy. I don't understand why you wouldn't allow her to have friends. It's never explained, because they don't want her to get close to them in case she spills any secrets, but then they don't tell her anything. Again, it's questionable. I think the real reason Eddie doesn't have any friends is because she's a bitch. I mean, she's an unlikable bitch who's always, like, who has a very bad attitude towards other girls, like, a huge lot of internal misogyny, woman hatred going on there, keeps calling people whore and skank, and just, like, stop it. And then, also, we also meet, after the plane crash, we also get the ability to meet Richard. Richard is her birth father. Richard is supposed to be in this grieving role dad, and she thinks that maybe he could be a good ally. I don't, because he's married to Catherine, and he's been in that family for longer, and he still let Catherine give you away, which is her main, like, hatred for reason against Catherine, because she gave her up. But that's also the dad. The dad explains that when Catherine gave Riley up, he wasn't there because he was mad at her. And they were fighting, was thinking about divorce. And I said, but he could have, I know, gone back and tried to find her. He obviously didn't fight for you. They just thought, oh, we have Oscar, which is the son that's now dead. We don't need anyone else. It annoyed me. So Richard he's okay though, because he gives her fake papers. And he says he doesn't want Lucy to learn a child and that she should run. But she's like, because of the bonding experience she's had with the plane crash, she's like, no, we're a team. And then inside her head, I found this bit so funny. Inside her head, when she's saying that they're a team, she's like, but they've been a team longer than me. You know, she thinks that they're smart enough and manipulative enough that if they needed, they could fake the bond. And she doubts things in her head, but she does, in typical Riley style, she does not follow through and get instead saying something like, no, we're a team, I wouldn't run, and that's stupid. Anyway, then Beck picks her up after this, and she's a bit withdrawn, is like sad. So Beck is like, what's wrong? And he's like, oh, I just saw Richard and he was talking. And then Beck, like, even she doesn't actually tell Beck what he said. I guess my decision. But Beck tells her that forget whatever Richard says. He's weak and he's just grieving. That's and she just goes, yeah, okay. I don't know why she does that. So, after this, well, here comes the ending. Now, how is the ending, you ask? The ending that broke me? I really thought the title for this book, well, the second book, because it grows after the betrayal from the ending, is Broken Trust, is very, very good. It's like one of the best titles I've seen in a while. So, I'm not even sure how to describe this betrayal. Before I talk about the ending, I've got a quote that Eddie said, and Eddie was drunk and she's talking about how she's sure that Delta killed her parents and there's ways to do it, but she says, our world is full of secrets, and we all have to play the game. This, I think, was a very good foreshadowing quote of what's yet to come, and Richard said something similar of like, no matter how strong you think your bond is, Delta pulls the strings of these boys, and I think that I missed that. There were loads of these little nuggets of clues in, and I reading it again, I really, really enjoyed all those little clues towards the ending. So then the betrayal sort of starts happening when she goes to Beck's house, and all the four boys are there, and they all have mugs. I think this is meant to be a cute scene, but I find it so annoying. I mean, not so annoying is the wrong word. I find this scene cringe a bit. I know it's meant to be cute, and maybe it is, but not for me. So with this scene, they all have mugs that like represent their personality, sort of. I actually don't remember what the others' mugs are, but Beck gets the king mug because he's the king. Oh, they give her a queen mug, and I thought that's nice. But she notices some sort of off energy, some uneasy look clue here. But then Beck fucks her to sort of distract her, and it works. She sleeps and she wakes up alone, and there's two men, and they're like, "Come with us," and she's like, "No," and they're like, "We work for Delta. Come with us." And she's like, "Who do you work for?" And she's like, "Mr. Beck," and she's like, "Oh, this is Beck's dad. Would he kill me? I don't know." So then they take her to the two guys who sort of kidnap her, take her to her cabin, and all the boys are there along with the parents, and so she guessed they weren't lying, and this is actually something to do with Delta. And so early in the book, there was another guy. He works at Huckley, and he was like paid to kidnap her, but he was going to rape her before, but she gets saved. She gets saved a lot from the guys from here, and the guys there, along with the Delta 5 parents and the kids, and she's thinking, what's happening here? And they explain to her that as part of tradition of joining Delta, they all need to have sort of something on each other, like mutual distraction, to go and they pull everything she does that's sort of slightly illegal and could ruin them into a Delta Void. And her Delta Void mission is to shoot this guy, and they have that on her. You know, the guy that tried to kidnap her and rape her before, but she doesn't want to do that. So, Catherine brings up her secret weapon, and that secret weapon is Dante. Dante has now been hidden and bruised, and the guys that had to bring his name, and they had to also beat him up. And she's really hurt that the guys would do this to Dante, the guy who she love's the wrong word, but the guy who she loved for such a long time, and who's such a permanent fixture in her life, and sort of the only person who she trusts. But that's what they do, and so they like, you shoot the guy, or you shoot Dante. Otherwise we'll shoot Dante. And there's also the threat of them shooting Dante. And she's like, okay, fine. And she shoots the guy. And that is the end of the first book. And the second book immediately picks up after this. I actually think that the first book should have been called Broken Trust instead. But okay. But again, it's a very fitting name. I like the name. So I can't believe this. So, I mean, again, this left me broken. And, because I always want people to, like, get together and just be happy and all that shit. So, I was rooting for the friendship for that couple. Yes, it happened quickly, but my favourite books are, like, insta-loves. So, it could have been normal, but it wasn't normal. And there were so many clues that I really should have been aware. But the clues are enjoyable when you reread it, so there's that. So in the next book, the next book was very annoying. It's a lot of moaning, it's a lot of high school drama, and it's quite unnecessary. So in the next book, this is when I just feel like with such a good first book, the other two books couldn't keep up. And I think that's actually a problem a lot of authors might have, but they normally manage to, because the third book would have the finale, they manage to bring out the action, bring out the suspense, but I don't think they quite managed that here. So in the second book, she's really hurt. She keeps saying that they used her. She can barely sleep. She's having like a Jessie from Breaking Bad moment, watching a lot of TV to know everything out. She's in Dante's flat. The guys keep coming and knocking and want to talk to her, but she doesn't want to talk to them because she's pissed. Which is okay. She's entitled to that. She's pissed, and I do think she wants to be pissed. But like, even though this was going on, this went on for quite a while, and I was just like, can we make up, and so the boys can come back into the book and have this interaction? Because them waving at her through a window and like saying, "Can you open the door so we can talk?" isn't much. But I was like, you don't have to forgive them. I mean, I'm all about harbouring that, hey, harbor that hate, make her revenge plan, do something. But what she does is watch a lot of TV and feel sad until Catherine calls Dante, again weird, and tells her she can move out to a different apartment, and Richard and the butler will set that up for her, but she has to be in school by Monday, so she now has to go to school. And the whole school drama thing was really annoying. It was a low bar. So she actually, was I victim blaming her a bit because I kept calling her dumb, but all that moaning and the fake bonding, but she did have those doubts. She should have explored her emotions more with those doubts and learned that there is an in-between between I absolutely trust you, I'm ready to tell you everything, to I believe you will never hurt me, you will lie to me. Like, there's to these people she's met very recently and have a lot of connection way before her. She is the new thing. She is the introduction, you know, like, they're stable. She is the new chemical component. And I felt like she should have been aware of that. There wasn't that much growth with her character throughout this whole book. She was a brat, an infant brat. They should have made this into a revenge book, just saying. Maybe it was a revenge book. I don't think they've done it well because she'd have to give up at some point. So now she's back at the school and she's not talking to the guys, and these guys are, you know, they rule her school. They're the kings of the school, and so, as Ellie puts it, she's going to get hugely bullied because they want revenge for the fact that she got to the kings of the school so quickly, and they tell her this, and they're like, we need to make a strong stand because Huxley's put like the youngest daughter here, and we need to make a strong stand. You need to like sort of hang out with us, you know, and we can protect you and all that shit. But then she's like, I don't care, I'm gonna be fine. They tell her this several times, they have this conversation several times, but Gail would not listen. And the key thing is, I don't think she has any respect for anyone in that school. And, you know, I guess that's okay. I didn't, but it read across as very butty and very, very bratty, and it was like really into her whole tough girl act, but she's not a tough girl. You know, and she even admits that she's only pretending to be, but she ain't even pretending to be. It was just plain stupidity, and very stubborn stupidity. So, they go through varying sort of bullying incidents, and she's like, I can put everything, they hear me, I'm gonna be okay, and all that shit. And then one of them, they like hide her clothes, but then she goes up to Jasper, and then she's like, give me your clothes, and drive me home. And he does that, and she takes Jasper to a new apartment, which is annoying because she wants to separate herself from these guys, and she's been given this new apartment. I mean, I'm sure they could easily find out where she lived, but does she have to go and take one of them to that apartment? Again, the stupid was just overwhelming. It was overwhelming me. And she takes them. And so she takes Jasper into this, and they have this burger, and Jasper thinks, oh, it's going to be okay, you know, now, like, we've done this, you're going to go back, and the bullying's going to end, and we can do our strong stand, but like Huxley. But she's like, no, nothing's changed, I'm talking to you, but I'm still mad at the others. And then he's just like, okay. More bullying happens, but the bullying I really do not like the bullying in this book. I watch a lot of K-dramas, and I just think bullying sometimes, it's tough. I've been through it as a child, but I should probably go back and take that back, because no one knew on this level. This was like, so it gets too out of hand. So, in this, the main bullying thing, and what unfortunately makes her forgive the boys and bring them back into her life, is a rape attempt, a gang rape attempt, orchestrated by the youngest daughter of Huxley. I think her name's Catherine or something. And it went really dark, really fast. I did not like that. And I thought, Riley is too stupid for this bad thing to happen to her. I thought she's too stupid. She's already, like, she's moaning all this complaint about guys lying to her to protect her. What's she gonna do when she gets gang raped? I was like, she is not ready for that. This book was not ready for that. I did not like that direction at all. But she fought until just the minute when she's about to give in and sadly sort of shut down for the gang rape to happen. Beck walks in and saves her, and now they're talking, and I really did not like the fact that she drove herself up this wall with all this moaning and complaining that the only way they thought to let the boys back into her life was for them to literally save her of a gang rape. I just thought, that she's just driven herself backed herself into a corner due to her stupidity and her stubbornness, that this was the only way they thought this could make this work. And I just didn't like it, you know. I said that, you know. So Beck beats up a bunch of guys. He protects her, and they take her home to the new apartment. I now have to basically, I've written down that I'm going to criticize Riley again because she calls a girl a bicycle, but I don't think I have it in me after I just talked about this gang rape. Ooh, you know what, I am gonna do it. She did a lot of woman hating to the girls that were sort of bullying her, and after the gang rape, this girl comes up to her and she's like, women have to support each other, they went way too far, I'm sorry, what happened to you? And I'm like, also now you think women can be, and I was like, okay, that's good, because that's generally what happened. And even like one of her main bullies was like, the girl she called a bicycle, rude, was like, they went way too far. I had no idea Catherine was planning that. Catherine was dead out evil. Don't worry about Catherine. Catherine ends up dead. Catherine ends up dead. Catherine was really annoying. She was blonde. She smiled evilly every time Riley was getting bullied. There wasn't much character with this villain. She's not even the main villain. She was dead. Not a fan of Catherine. But Catherine is revealed that she paid the guys who tried to gang rape her to do it. When Beck saves her, Riley actually says some shit like, sorry, you saved me. Oh no, I think it's from the shower. And they fuck. She's like, sorry, you saved me. I didn't like that. You know, he should fucking saved you. He promised to protect you. He claimed he lied to protect you. Even if you don't forgive him, he should, keep an eye. This whole idea that the only thing they could do to make a strong sound was pretend they were icing her out was just bad. Frankly, I'd have just been around her. She doesn't have to say anything, but you can protect her by being around her. And I feel like that's just a bad way, because I've seen that been done in other books. Like, she said, like, in the blurb it says, no one cares what I think. I don't know why they all care now. And then, so I guess that's the main thing. But then they get together, they improve their relationship, she finds out more about them, their backstories and all that shit. Connection gets deeper. And then you essentially go to the third book. And in the third book, they sort of defeat Delta and the parents. I say defeat Delta. But one of my main issues with this book was that Riley was like, I want to change the world, start with this fucked up company. But, spoiler alert, she doesn't actually want to change the world. She says that she likes the wealth, the power, the privilege, and she knows that her boys like it too. They feed off it. So what she wants is a way to easily get this from Delta without their parents and all the stupid survival shit stuff that makes them able to survive a plane crash. Because I was like, okay. And Delta, apparently, in the book is stated that owns like 70% of the world's wealth. And the fact that she plans to change the world by collecting a cut with 5 other guys, with 4 other guys, so 5 people are going to own 70% of the world. And that is her way of changing the world, just without the parents. I really didn't like that. You know what? But I am a leftist. I'm thinking, particularly because before this, I read Curse of the Gods again, and the whole reason I love Willa is that Willa never forgot where she came from. She was always very aware of the fact that she was a dweller and how dweller had always been given the worst fate in life, and when she finds out that's not the natural state, that's just due to the fact that the gods took all the power, they took all the water, they took all the blessed stuff, and they put it in Manassal, which is sort of, was not Manassal? Is that what it's called? They put it in the land of the gods, and she solved this by letting the river flow freely, bringing water back to the parched lands, and essentially redistributing everything. Even though it means that her and her guys will be weaker, she is fine with this, because she does it for the good of everyone involved. So, I just love that message. How is Riley going to change the world by essentially keeping the same misogyny, the same sort of unequal thing that allows these people to get away with so much, allows Delta, the same unequal system that allows Delta to get away with so much shit alive? I don't understand that. Anyway, I thought this was a great example of girl boss feminism. So, but they do succeed in cutting out the parents, countless survival stuff, and keeping all the wealth, power, and privilege daughter gives them. So, yay! And then they also defeat Huxley, which is their biggest competitor. But I do wonder, as they grow older, as they forget the survival stuff, as new people and new casts get introduced, how strong is that bond and can it be broken again? I will tell you that the bond between Beck and Riley is not strong and it's damaged, and I guess it's meant to show that Riley has hardened and that she's grown, but what is the point of being with a person you don't really trust? Like, so they're not really, as for the couple thing, I don't think they're a great couple. They're not one, like, I don't, for business people, I guess it could work, but if they don't have that bond, what makes them so special? Because Beck was, in the first book, was always on and on and on and on for how they were much better and stronger than parents and smarter because of this bond. And I do believe that the four boys have this bond, but I know that Riley isn't as all in as she was before, and that's okay, learn from your lessons. But how are you going to have a relationship with this guy when you don't completely trust him? And it's like Riley's now a weakness. That's it, so Riley's now a weakness. But and I found that very annoying. I was like, where's this relationship going? But they had a lot more sex in the third book. And he tries to use sex to get her to give in and like tell him shit. Not a great foundation. Not a great bones for a relationship, you know? I don't understand this. You know? My favourite comment from Beck is that he says that Ryder's not like every other girl. Like, that she talking to her is like fucking electricity. Really? Beck, what are you on? I don't know what he's on. But I thought that was weird. And then, like, one of my favourite moments from Riley is when she says that she's really into Beck's king of the world shit. You know? And they basically just had an argument. And he was like, I own you. Like, I own everything in this world. And in a few months, that's when he gets his inheritance and becomes like a full partner at Delta. In a few months, I'll own the fucking world. The entitlement of this comment, the possessiveness going on, it was like, girl, run. But she didn't run. She said she liked it. And we all know where that got her, with a broken trust that she never managed to fix, even by the third book, which is the reason this relationship is going to fail, and I thought it was a horrible note to leave this one. So, yeah, so that was pretty much the whole series. I do recommend it. It is very enjoyable. Before I leave, I'm just going to say, what do you guys think? Was I too harsh on Riley? I just think I was, but like, I'm so done with characters like Riley. Like, they need to stop. Let go of your internal misogyny and just learn to love. And also, stop saying your character's badass. Like, make him do something badass. You know, stop, like, what's that thing that my teacher used to say? Show us, don't tell us. Like, that's what they should do. So with that, we've come to an end, and I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. This is a goodbye from Nightly Reads.